Welcome to the program Double Standards after the break. Now, when I said after the break, the telephone lines would be opened. So now the lines are open. You can make telephone calls, ask anything, or share your views on today's topic. But in the meantime, I would like to make an appeal to our viewers in the UK and across the world, wherever our television channel is being watched, that please support generously towards operating cost of this television channel, Hidayat television channel, which is your television channel. It reflects your aspirations. It serves your purpose, your objectives, and it is working for you. The raison d'etre behind this television channel's operation is to serve the community, serve you. So please do not hesitate to generously support this channel towards the operating cost. You're welcome to make any donation or any support towards this channel. Right, coming back to, now we have the telephone lines open. Do we have a caller on the line? Okay. So lines are open anyway. No, we were discussing Daesh in Yemen, and the UN Secretary General was organizing a summit, all parties talk. It's a broad-based talk. So that was a good starting point, actually.
But he wanted the Iranians in as well. He indicated.
Absolutely. So that was the main thorn, which the others, Arab states,
there were two thorns. The Saudis and the Gulf states said no to Iran participating, and the conditions to the Houthis were just impossible.
So do you think, excluding them, would anything work?
No. And the Saudis will go on bombing and bombing. I mean, it's turning from an aerial bombardment into something approaching what people will eventually call genocide. I mean, the number of people who are now being killed and the amount of destruction is appalling.
Now, the way they have taken over Palmyra. Now, Palmyra is rich in archaeological wealth. So if you and I we get a chance to speak to Abu Bakr Baghdadi in the military hospital where he is recuperating in Turkey, we will ask him that if at all you have to destroy the archaeological sites in Palmyra are only 2,000 years old. Come with us, we take you to Turkey, where we have 5,000 years old archaeological sites, and destroy them. They are much more precious target to destroy. And then the Giza dynasty pyramids in Egypt. So create some stir for Abdel Fattah Sisi also. What do you think on that?
Well, I think the underlying flaw in what you've just said is that these guys are not open to reason discussion. They are quite simply beyond reason, and they're not unique in that. Most Israeli Jews are beyond reason. It's fine to say, let's talk, let's have a dialogue, start thinking differently. But when people, Ijaz, are beyond reason, it's a waste of time. You can't talk to them. But why are they doing all this destruction? It occurs to me they just want to make the rest of the world terrified of them.
In your illustrious broadcasting career spanning 5 decades, Alan, did you ever come across a really genuine political leader in Turkey in the last 50 years?
No, I didn't know Turkey that well, but I didn't. I had some hope for Erdogan in the early days. I thought he was looking towards an alliance of Turkey, Iran, Russia, and we would see a new sort of solid crescent. But it seems to have gone to his head now. So I don't think he's a very credible leader anymore.
I meet the Turkish ambassador Unal Şivikos off and on once in a quarterly on different forums in London. And I try to sell the idea that, look, you had the classical model of 1960s and 70s, RCD, Regional Cooperation for Development. When Iran and Turkey and Pakistan, they were doing very serious political and economic business for their nation, respective nations. Now this is rather more opportune moment, more ideal, conducive environment, geostrategic environment, when China is investing $46 billion in the region towards road networks, towards rail networks, and building new ports for Pakistan and for the region. And Russia is also moving southward to the Arabian Sea. Now, in this ideal scenario, if we think about the nations, the people of these 6-7 countries, so an ideal model could be that if Turkey joins Iran and Pakistan, and backed by the resources of Russia and the technological prowess of China, and within 5 to 10 years, this region will become the hub of international economic activity. Do you agree with that?
In theory, if that arrangement were to come into power, yes, and it would mark the continuation of what is called the decline of the West. And if that were to happen, Ijaz, it might trigger in America going isolationist and pulling up the drawbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a real possibility for the future. There are very many Americans who would like to do that. And very many years ago, when I had my one and only private chat with Henry Kissinger, he did say that America could pull up the drawbridge and tell the rest of the world to go to hell because it's got enough internal resources. But he did say, but we would have to keep the bridge open to Latin America, South America. But there is a strong isolationist current. So in America, what you have at the moment, you have the mad right-wing Republicans saying to Obama, get involved in Iraq and Syria, bomb, bomb, bomb. Some of them saying bomb Iran. And on the other hand, you've got a lot of Americans who are realizing it's going very, very badly for America. And that might feed into the isolationist current. It's going to be very interesting in the coming few years.
Now, I have a very interesting question, which may not pertain directly to today's topic. Because we are discussing, my question was that Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, China, and Russia making a cluster of powerful. Now, if that happens, and you answer to that question, then obviously there is isolation, politics dragged in. Now, across the Atlantic, we have United States doing things independently. Where do we find Britain? Because Britain is also completely confused. Forgive me if I'm wrong, there's no political leadership we are having in this country at the moment. So if they detach from EU and US shows the cold shoulder, what is our future in Britain?
I don't like the words Great Britain anymore. So I don't know what's great about Britain. I think we're a second-rate power. I think our voice counts for less and less in the world. But that's why we actually need a strong Europe. If you look at the world, Ijaz, there are so many huge problems. Not only what we've been talking about in this program, but there's global warming, there's global poverty, there are many problems. And they're only going to be solved if groups of nations get together and have some real unity and real clout. That's why we need not isolated Europe or little France or bigger Germany. We actually need strong groupings of nations. That's the only way I think you can push decision-making through. You can't do it if every little nation is doing their own bloody thing.
Now, Alan, as you can see, especially in the last 2 or 3 months, if you are very keenly observing and you have extensive knowledge, I do every program with you, I interact each time with you, and I learn something new out of it. I would like to ask you that, are the Shias so expendable? They're being butchered, at least in 13 countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and in Yemen, and not by one power, which is a Salafi, Wahhabi, Saudi mindset, but the other Western nations also. They are also considering the Shias as the fodder. So do you think they are so expandable, so cheap entity on the planet?
Ijaz, it isn't just the Shia. If you look at all the catastrophes that are happening in the world, our leaders and our institutions, they don't actually give a damn about the death and destruction that's taking place. I would go so far as to say, because of the failure of leadership by the major Western powers, and let's face it, Russia and China as well, in my view, they are complicit by default in all of the suffering that's going on. There's an old rule. If you're a group and you need justice, in order to get major power support, You either have to be able to threaten the interests of the major powers or offer to be used by them. That's all that politics is about. There is no genuine concern for the lives of ordinary people, be they Shia, be they Indians, be they Pakistanis, be they Latin Americans. It's a terrible indictment of politics. But politics is not about real people and real lives.
Right, thank you. Before asking another question, I would like to make an appeal again, repeating my words that this is your channel. This is your channel, this is your platform, this is your mouthpiece which is speaking for you and for your rights, for your aspirations. So please support this channel generously through any means. We are very lucky that we have 4 television channels supporting our community. The Sufi television, the Ahlul Bayt television, Ahle Bayt television, and Hidayat television, of course, which we are using the platform. And we definitely we pray for all of them. We are lucky that we have got 4, and we pray for their prosperity, their growth, and their success the way they are performing their services. But when I'm sitting in Hidayat television channel, I'm supporting the cause of Hidayat television. Operating costs are going high. They're very exorbitant these days. So we always need your support. We don't have any business ventures or any massive business investment where the money is coming to considerable amounts every month, regularly, frequently. We all rely upon your support, and your support is very, very vital towards that. So please donate generously towards the operating cost that we have, which is mounting up like a snowball, to be honest. So we will welcome any support from your side. Now, like I said, the telephone lines are open, and you can make a telephone call and ask any question or pass any comments. So coming back again.
Why do you think we haven't had any calls? Are we boring the pants off people?
We can't say that on television. Sorry? Yeah. So basically, we will carry on with that. Why? The Shias and the Sunni Hanafis, the peaceful people, peace-loving people, who do not believe in aggression, who do not believe in violence, who do not believe in transgression, peaceful people, who are the majority amongst the Muslims. But they are being mistreated. They are being overwhelmingly mistreated by the Saudis, who are spending $100 billion along with the GCC other countries every year to procure weapons. But still people are dying. The mass graves are being discovered of the Rohingyas in Burma and elsewhere. So the Muslims everywhere on the world, if you pick up the planet, you will see 24 of states, Muslim states, where you have the Muslims being mistreated by their own rulers. So what do you think about the current state of the Muslims, the oppressed Muslims? So don't you think the Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich countries, they have a moral obligation to think about them?
Oh, huge moral obligations. But I mean, there is no government in the Arab world that cares about the morality of things. Politics is about interests. That's all it's about. I mean, they just don't care. Many years ago, I made the first ever film on global poverty. And I gave the world the information that every year 15 million children under 5 were dying of malnutrition and easily preventable related diseases. The governments don't care. Mm-hmm. They won't care, Ijaz. I've said before on your show, the one thing all the peoples of all the nations of the world, I'm exaggerating a little, have in common, is we loathe our political systems. Mm-hmm. Whether they're in America, in Britain, in France, in Pakistan or wherever. Nothing's going to change until enough ordinary citizens get off their backsides and take to the streets peacefully and say to governments, up with this we are not putting. We want a better society. We want a fairer society. We want to be concerned with real issues. The only way that's going to come about is through people power. Mm-hmm. But I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. So this growing sense of despondency amongst the Muslim Ummah, if you call,
Yeah.
I mean, that is providing a very ideal situation for people like from Bradford, from Sheffield, from Leeds,
Yeah.
from West Midlands, our youngsters being radicalized easily. So unemployment, lack of opportunities, lack of sense of importance. I mean, in this situation, when there is
When you give
disappointment,
people no hope,
yeah,
that's the problem.
much more easier to be radicalized then.
Yeah, of course it is. Because, when you have no hope, your thoughts turn to despair.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an emptiness where meaning and purpose should be.
Mm-hmm.
So all this junk pulls in. It's like the Christian fundamentalists are called in America. They tried conventional Christianity, it didn't work. They tried materialism and it didn't work. Left a great big hole where meaning and purpose should be in their lives. So in comes all this nonsense of so-called fundamentalist Christianity. If you give people no hope, yes, they become more open to radicalization.
I mean, normally it's a French political thought that insurrection of thoughts always precedes to insurrection of arms. So when you said at the start of the program that Daesh is an ideology, you have to defeat an ideology by more than a strategy more than beyond the weapons. So if we have to write a strategy that how to deal with Daesh, the growing menace of Daesh, what would be 2-3 major points that we can build in?
One, it needs a total regime change. It needs, throughout the Arab and wider Muslim world, it needs governments.
Would you identify a few countries where, emphatically, where the regime change is required?
Could I say all of them?
Whatever you can say.
Yeah, I would say all of them. I mean, Tunisia is trying a little down the right road, I think. But basically, they are all corrupt, they're all authoritarian, and they're all repressive. So, first of all, you need some political change to give most citizens of those countries some hope that there is a better future. Only when they believe that there is a better future will they turn off any interest they might have in the madness of ISIS.
Next.
American-led Western foreign policy has to change.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no question about that. And as I said earlier, although most Arabs in most Arab countries now have enough of their own problems, they really do care about Palestine. And if we had an American president who was prepared to stand up to Israel and the Zionist lobby and bring about change and hold Israel to account, that would give another aspect of hope to many Arabs who are in despair. I mean, right now, if you look at Palestine, there is no hope. So that is a major cause of despair. Mm-hmm. So Arab regime changes and system changes we need. We need a change in Western foreign policy. But I suggest is the third thing. One of the reasons, in my view, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, one of the reasons why ISIS and what I call perverted Islamic fundamentalism is getting so many converts is because far too many Muslims are ignorant of the real message.
Are they being kept ignorant by design?
No, I think they're brought up in ignorance by mullahs who don't understand too much themselves. But I think, and I have many Muslim friends who tell me I'm right, I think there are far too many Muslims in Britain and elsewhere who do not have a full understanding of what the basic principles of Islam are as relevant to today's world. I think I've said to you before, in my view, what Islam needs is its very best scholars to get together and to come up with something that says this is the meaning of Islam and the teachings of the Prophet in today's world.
What responsible role the Western media can play? Now, in the context that in the last 4 weeks, most media outlets in Britain and in the West, they gave much more, disproportionately much more time to gay marriages in Ireland as compared to the beheading of hundreds of people by Daesh in Saudi Arabia, and the killing of many people in in Palmyra and other parts, in Ramadi and Yemen. So how irresponsible is the Western media?
Well, there are two media problems. One of them is that they take the view that we give our readers and viewers what they want. So they say, oh, our viewers and readers, they're not interested in that. It's too boring, it's too far away, it's too complicated. That's one part of the problem. So I say it's not enough to give readers and viewers what you think they want. The job of the media, if democracy is to be kept alive, or what past is kept alive, you've got to give people what they need to know if they are to be informed. And the other question, and this applies more to newspapers, newspapers don't exist to sell news, Ijaz. They exist to sell advertising. So you put those two things together. I think I said to you before, when I joined ITN as a very young correspondent, its great editor-in-chief gave me the mission statement in one very short sentence. Our job is to help keep democracy alive. I believed in it then, but for many years past, I say, and I mean, I think the mainstream Western media has betrayed democracy. See, democracy can't exist simply because people vote every 4 or 5 years. For democracy to exist, the voters have to be informed enough about all sorts of critical issues, including global warming, including global poverty, including ISIS, to be able to call and hold their leaders to account.
We have a caller. Alan, sorry to cut you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Aapka your name, please.
वैसे तो मुझे मीर कहते हैं, वैसे अमीर मुख्तार नाम मेरा, अली से हूँ। किताबें 5 लिखी हैं, लेकिन बहरहाल इसमें से लेना चाहता हूँ कि सऊदी अरेबिया जो है वो क्या कर रहा है।
Would you like to say in English so that Alan can listen to that?
Yes, of course. In program English, okay, no problem.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay. Would you repeat your question again, please, brother? Yeah, please say. You are live. You can say whatever you want.
Okay, dear.
Please go ahead.
Hello.
You are on air, so please say whatever you want.
What's the question?
Okay. Thank you, presenter. I'm sorry to say that if my English is broken, forgive me.
No problem, brother. No problem.
Thank you. But I have a fully. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
आप अमीर मुख्तार भाई प्लीज बिस्मिल्लाह आप उर्दू में कहिए, मैं एलन को समझाता हूँ, उर्दू में कहिए बिस्मिल्लाह।
थैंक यू। उर्दू में ये है जनाब कि सऊदी अरेबिया जो था उसने इन अंग्रेज़ों के साथ मुआहदा किया था कि हम यहाँ पर यहूदियों को बसाओ, हम क़यामत तक पूछेंगे नहीं। वो तस्वीर मेरे पास है।
अच्छा, आगे।
Is that a question?
Yeah, he is saying that there is apparently a formal agreement between Saudi Arabia and the West. There is agreement that the Saudis will do whatever they like, and they will allow West whatever they like in the region.
Well, that agreement has been in place for very many years. Basically, what the West wanted was cheap oil, or a constant guaranteed supply of oil at prices it was willing to pay. But because of all the turmoil and all the things that are happening, and Obama's realization that America can't go on throwing its weight around this like this because it's counterproductive, the Saudis no longer trust America. The Saudis think that the relationship is beginning to break down. I think people like Obama hope it breaks down without them being blamed for it. I mean, the peculiar thing about Saudi Arabia is that I believe it's true that in the wider Muslim world it is becoming genuinely despised. Is that true or is it not?
I agree with that. No, Alan, a very direct question now. As a student of modern history and current affairs, I'm a little more chagrined to think on these lines that what I'm seeing is if this nuclear dialogue, a nuclear pact is not signed before 30th of June and the situation lingers on and the further ramification that occurs, I'm seeing in next year or so another cause for another armed conflict which might take shape as the Third World War.
I think so. You see, it's not only in America that you have the right-wing nuts. You also have some right-wing nuts in Iran. And I tell you very frankly, if this deal doesn't go through and is sabotaged, if I was an Iranian, I would now want my country to have nuclear weapons for deterrence. I mean, I heard yesterday the Iranians appear to have made yet another concession to make sure these talks work. They had said they would not allow their military, their non-nuclear military facilities to be inspected. And the reason why they said that is because there is no guarantee that the inspectors don't include the CIA and the Mossad and all of that. Mm-hmm. But yesterday the news was that they've compromised on that. So it seems to me that the Iranians are doing everything they can to make this deal work.
To promote peace.
Well, to promote better prospects for their economy, first of all.
And also getting themselves vindicated that they are not pursuing weaponized uranium.
Ijaz, that is such a joke. Every intelligence service in the world knows that they are not pursuing nuclear weapons.
Yes.
The only reason why Netanyahu is playing that with the assistance of the lobby and the media that does their bidding is to take attention away from what Israel is doing.
And let's conclude there. That's on a high note. You saw another episode of the program Double Standards, and we are heading very quickly towards the end of our program. We will be with you on next Monday with another topic pertaining to Middle East security and peace situation. Till then, we take a leave. Thank you. Bye-bye.